Florida road tripping. On my channel, I'll be sharing places I travel and visit in Florida and beyond. Hello everyone. In this video, you'll see a Kwanzaa event that was held in Deland, Florida, where you'll see dancers, drummers, and different speakers that explain exactly what Kwanzaa means. And now it's time for the show to begin. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Perfectly fine. If not, you can sit where you are. But we need an elder to give us permission to start our Kwanzaa event. So I need to see a hand of somebody out there who can show their hand as an elder. Okay. So I would say to the elders, there's a couple of you. Do we have your permission to start our Kwanzaa event? Yes. Yes. Thank you. Original development of civilization. For the ancestors and their persevering spirit, which meant they were strong and brave, with the courage to stand up for their beliefs and to stay strong in those beliefs and convictions, no matter what the odds against them were. They were impossible to be defeated or to make frightened. For the elders, those with authority, experience, and behavior consistent with what is proper or moral, from whom we can learn much. Original people from Africa. And for our struggle, violent efforts to get free of restraint or constriction, and in remembrance of those who have struggled on our behalf. How about O'Shea? Oneness, agreement, harmony, and identity, integrity, peace, which should guide us in all that we do. O'Shea. And for God, the Creator, who provides all things great and small. God is all-powerful, omnipotent,
ẹ káàárọ̀. Okay, we go. Good morning. I can't hear you guys. Good morning. Good. When I say good afternoon, you say ẹ káàsán. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good. When I say good evening, and you guys say ẹ kú rọ̀lẹ́. Ẹ kú rọ̀lẹ́. Okay. Good evening. Good evening. Okay, can we say the three together now? Are you ready? Eka, okay. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Ẹ kú rọ̀lẹ́. When I say good morning, you say ẹ káàárọ̀. Good afternoon. Ẹ káàsán. Good evening. Ẹ kú rọ̀lẹ́. And when I say good night, ó dàárọ̀. That's the last one. Ó dàárọ̀. When I say good night, you say ó dàárọ̀. But that good night, we say it at the end of the program. Good. So good morning. Let me hear you guys. The code is not here. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Ẹ kú rọ̀lẹ́. Thank you.
and he'll explain to you how it participates with that poster that you see there. So he's going to talk with you a few minutes about that. Then following that, we're going to have our speaker for today. Her name is Dr. Felicia Benzo. She's going to be our speaker for today.
How's everybody doing?
All right.
Happy Kwanzaa to you.
Okay.
What I want to do is share with you some of the inventions that black people invented. Some of them. Okay, I got it. What I'm going to do is share with you some of the inventions that black people invented. Some of the information is going to shock you. I think it's appropriate to share with you this information because I think it coincides with Kujichagulia, self-determination. And the reason I say that is because back in the 1800s, it was very difficult for black people to do anything. Decades before that, it was very difficult for black people to even read or learn to write. But what I want to do now is share with you some of the inventions that black people invented. On this chart here, on the bottom part of this chart here, are inventions by black people. All of these inventions were in the 1800s. These up here, I've got pictures of inventions that many of you know and see, but I'm going to just name off a few that you'll be familiar with, and you're going to be surprised at some of them that nobody knows about, well, a lot of us don't know about. I'm going to give a list of about 20. The first one that most people don't know about is the cell phone. The cell phone was created by a man named Henry Sampson. Now, Henry Sampson created the cell phone before what they put in the cell phone, a gamma electric cell. But he created the cell phone before the modern day cell phones now, with the gamma electric cell. Another invention was the telephone system, not the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell created the telephone, but the telephone system was created by a man, created by a black man. The helicopter was created by a man named Paul E. Williams. The lawnmower was created by a man named James A. Byrd. The blimp that you see over the races at NASA sometimes, that was created by a man named J. F. Pickering. Was created by a man named J. Standard, a black man. The stoplight was created by, or the traffic light, by Gary Morgan. The remote controller device by Joseph N. Jackson. The pacemaker controller. Everybody's heard about the pacemaker, one of the most precious things in medicine. And also this same man created the guided missile. And I'm sure we've never heard about that. His name was Otis Soykin. The shoelaster machine by Jan E. Zengler. The air conditioner, which everybody appreciates, especially during this time, during the summertime, by a man named F.M. Jones. The golf tee by G.F. Grant. The space shuttle called the Stinger that reaches out from the space shuttle to grab satellites and pull them in so they can do repairs. That was created by a black man. His name was W.M. Harwell, who was at NASA. The electric lamp was created by Louis Latimer. The steamboat propeller, you see the steamboat and the big round propeller that goes around and around, was created by a black man, Benjamin Montgomery. Henry, the elevator was created by a man named A. Mills. Now, I'm going to list a few more inventions, but I'm not going to list the people's names because my time is limited. But the folding chair, the typewriter, the mailbox, the guitar, the street sweeper, the pencil sharpener, fire extinguisher, folding bed, folding chair, the lock, the washer, the dryer, ice cream, and potato chips. Now I'm gonna go a few thousand years before that a lot of people don't know. The wheel, the alphabet, numbers, mathematics, the calendar, 365 and 1/4 days, the units of time, the year, the month, the week, the hour, by ancient Africans. And they create, like I said, they created the unit of time. So these are some of the inventions that black people invented, and I could mention hundreds more. A lot of them was taken, a lot of them was stolen, a lot of them are not in our history books. But I just want you to be proud of our ancient ancestors and even the ones that still living now. Two principles that are associated with these Akuchi Chakalia, and Ujima. Ujima is cooperative economics, and Fuji Chakalia is self-determination. And like I said, the self-determination took a lot back in the 1800s. Have a great hunt. My name is Mike Brown.
Maybe perhaps she will give you exactly where some of those kids are today, because many of them are in college. Many of them have jobs, and many of them know that there's greatness in them, and that's what part of her philosophy, greatness, and that's what she has instilled in them. So that's only a little bit I can tell you about her, but she has a lot more under her belt. Okay, so again, with no further ado, I will introduce to you Dr. Felicia Benzo.
Okay, thank you. I know many of you did not know that I was a practicing doctor for 28 years in New York City, and health and hospital systems and some of the private hospitals on Long Island. My practice is, can you hear me?
Louder, Felicia, louder.
I hear myself real loud.
Oh, okay, come back.
Can you hear me there now? Yes. Okay. So, and the reason why you don't know that, because I'm not practicing medicine right now, but much of what I do and my intentional and insisting behavior comes from my practice in medicine. I know there's greatness in each one of us, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. You cannot believe all that it took to get here today. I was on house stay for 5 days because I couldn't find my keys. I still cannot find the keys for my car. And due to a good friend, Cheyenne Williams, she came and picked me up today, and we went and we got a rental. But this message must be delivered. I've been sitting with this for a long time. And at the last minute, my notes, which seemed to be here, were lost. So that's another reason why it is clear to me that it was a reason why I was being tested to be here today. Now, my brothers and sisters, we talked in terms of family, in terms of soul, in terms of ancestors. There are other people that use forefathers, communities, but we talk about family. And that's the reason why I said, my brothers and sisters. I don't care what color you are. I really don't care about your heritage. But I do understand that we are all related. Started 240,000 years ago when they believed the Homo sapien branch of the hominins developed. Guess who they were and where they were? They were in Africa. So we're the first of the Homo sapien group. That group went to east to the west, went north and went south. Some of them spread over to India and China, circled around to what you call the New World now, but within the history books as the New World. It never was the New World. It was just new to them. You have to know the history that people keep talking about is European version of it. The other groups knew who was where and when all along. So with that being said, know thyself. You hear it in The Lion King. You hear it in The Black Panther. Guess where it was originally? The University of Luxor, in their inner temple. On the top, the inscription starts. But when you look it up, you see that it was in the Greek temples. Well, the Greeks got it from the Africans. They just did. They came there to Luxor to study. The Africans studied land, sea, and sky. That's where all our sciences are coming from. Not any particular group that likes to ingratiate Asia itself with being the first. Well, they weren't. They just came about it because we taught them. Now, that's not to say we're the greatest. That's just to say we're the oldest. When you're over 240,000 years old, you're going to be doing something, right? Where's my paleontologist? Right over there. Talk louder. Oh my God, I'm sorry. So with that being said, understanding where we start is who we are. That is important to know who you are. That means you have to do some studying. That means you need to connect with some of the teachers that are still alive today, like Mr. Valentine. That means you need to travel, learn different languages. You need to be about your business, not Cardi B, Menanja, and all those crazy folks, because they're not about themselves. My message to you, in order to build the community that we need now, we must know ourselves. A lot of what I just said, you're not going to find in school. You're not going to find in school. It's going to be outside of school. You are going to register, and you have to vote. You're citizens of the United States. Vote. Stop this nonsense. Stand up and be counted. Vote. It makes a difference. It does make a difference. Vote. I don't care who you vote for, but vote. But vote in your best interest. And the last thing is, all of you should be thinking about running for office. So, it is know thyself, it's health, it's ownership, it's property, it's building businesses, and it is being a voter. It is being a representative of the United States. You're in the United States, be represented. If they don't represent you, put them out. Right? We count. Black lives matter, but they matter only when we think they do. And you're not doing it, then you're a slave on the slave ship. Make sense? Yes. Kids, you are great. Y'all are great. I'm expecting us to be able to pass the torch to you. And then you will make the next steps for us. Okay? Thank you.
What would you like for me to tell them about you? What would you like for me to tell them who you are? She can do it? Okay, she says she can do it. Awesome. Every year she goes down to Biloxi. Every year she goes down to Jackson, where is it? City? Plant City? Oh, she'll tell me. I was trying to tell her story. She knows it better than me. That's her son.
Okay.
And in fact, let me tell you a little bit about him. He does an awesome job reenacting Frederick Douglass.
Oh, wow.
If you see Frederick Douglass,
We get to taste something later?
everything. He's an awesome reenactor of Frederick Douglass. I'm telling you. Yes.
I hope the children are still here. All right. I'm going to share a story with you, but before I do that, I will tell you just a little about myself. First, I'll tell you how old I am, so in case I forget something, you'll forgive me. Okay. All right, I'm 93 years old, okay? And for a number of years, I've been telling stories about the Civil War since 2002. The little education that I have, I went to Bethune-Cookman College, it was then, for a BS degree. And then I went to Florida State University for a master's, and then I have been a school media specialist, elementary school media specialist for 30 years before I retired. But then after I retired, I became a Civil War reenactor, and I did research on my family history, and I published 6 books. 2 of them on my family history, and 2 are on Civil War reenacting, and 2 are memoirs. They are books written about the passing of my daughter Julie Anderson and my husband Joel B. Fierce Sr. Some of my books will be put over in the African American Museum of Art. So I don't know how many over there now, but I will make sure that she gets some more. But today's program, I'm inspired by the speaker before me to say a little bit more than normally I would have. Now, for a little background for what I'm going to tell you, in the 1930s, it was the Depression years. Many people were out of work. They had bread lines. Our president was Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And he thought of a way to put writers to work. And that included Zora Neale Hurston. You may have heard of her. Well, these writers were instructed to interview the former slaves who were still living in 1935, 36, and 1937. Well, in Durham, North Carolina, the name of the interviewer was Travis Jordan. In 1936, he knocked on the door of a lady
who was 82 years old. Her name was Clara Cotton. And I'm going to tell you the story that Clara Cotton told to Travis when he came and knocked on the door to interview her. The interviewers, the writers, were told a number of questions to ask the former slaves. They were to tell as much as they could about their lives as slaves, what kind of work they did, how they were treated, and they were also to include what they knew about the Civil War. So I'm going to quote what Clara Cotton said to her interviewer in 1936. She's come up to Miss Ryan and rumpled up her hair. She done brushed back so smooth. And then she stick a rose behind her ear and she said, "Now, Mammy, you look just like you did when Peppy come a-coating." And Mrs. Ryan, for a moment, she just smiled. And Master Ned would put down his newspaper and look at Miss Ryan, and then he'd look at Miss Laughter. And so Miss Ryan said, "Clarina, you just too worldly. You just too worldly. Don't you know that the Lord appreciates virtue and goodness and better than beauty?" And Miss Laughter would just throw back her head and laugh and run on back up the stairs before Miss Ryan could use her voice to just fuss at her. Well, not long after that, the war started. And Master Ned just went on off to fight. And that didn't leave nobody home but Miss Ryan, Miss Laughter, and Jerome, the son. He was 15 years old when the war started, and they didn't get him till the war was almost over. And then Miss Ryan's mammy was there. We call her Mrs. That's what we call her. Well, after the war started, Miss Ryan just got on a horse, rode out in the field, looked after the slaves, looked after the corn and the cotton and everything, and just like an overseer. And so then after a while, the Yankees started coming to the plantation. They burned up the cotton gin, all the seeds of the cotton. They dug up the taters, took away the corn, and Miss Ryan just held her head high. Nobody saw her shed a tear. She just took it all in. And then, after they kept coming and going and coming and going, and they came back again, but what happened first, they planted a big garden. And then trouble sure enough started because it was a drought, and there was nothing, everything just went to parchment, just dried up. But the taters were real good. Well, it was Miss Laughter that kind of kept us from fretting so much. She said, "Well, things are going to be better when Master Ned come back." She called her Peppy and Master Ned just like we did. But anyway, her clothes had begun to look all old, and her grandmammy, she washed them and starched them stiff. Well, pretty soon, Master Ned, he did come home. He come home all right. He came home in a box. And they laid him out in the parlor. And Miss Ryan just stood over, and she said, "Well, it was just the Lord's will." And Grandmama said, "No, you can't blame that on the Lord. That was the will of them cussed Yankees." And then Grandmama just wiped the tears from her eyes. Then she took little Miss Laughter and took on up the stairs to put her to bed. Well, one day a buzzard flew over the house. And Grandmammy threw up her apron and she said, "Oh, that means death." And Miss Raya said, because that night, old Mrs. passed away on the dory. And Grandmammy said, "Well, if somebody shot that buzzard and moved his shadow off the roof of that house, Mrs. wouldn't have gone nowhere." Well, after that, young Master Jerome was called, and he didn't come back no more. But the Yankees kept coming onto the plantation and taking all the chickens, all the eggs. They took away the horses. They just took away about everything. And we hardly had anything to eat. But Miss Raya always held her head high. Nobody ever saw her shed a tear. Well, not long after that, the surrender come. The war ended. And we were free then, but us who worked in the house, the house slaves, we stayed on. Out in the field, they left, but we stayed on to help Mrs. Wright. Well, one day, after the surrender, all around the plantation was a whole heap of Yankees. And one day, one of the Yankee soldiers come up to the house and stood out in the yard, and Miss Ryan wouldn't let him come up on the porch. And he had come to ask, could he buy some of her land, some of her property. And Miss Ryan said, "I'll die first before I sell a foot of my land to a Yankee, and don't you darken my door." She had on. And this Mrs. Rafter started looking at that soldier out in the yard, and the soldier started looking at Miss Rafter, and then when Miss Raya figured out what was going on, then Miss Rafter turned around and ran back up the stairs. Well, after that happened, I was just like a bodyguard. I had to follow Miss Laughter everywhere she went to watch her. Even when she would go down, walking down in the woods out near the plantation, after a while that soldier started walking around down there too. And every time he would come, he'd give me a little piece of money, and I didn't tell nobody. So after he had come so many days, where one day Miss Laughter started crying because the soldier said he was going away. And so what happened was, that night Miss Laughter put all of her clothes in a box, and she had me to take the box down and hide it in the blueberry patch. Then she gave me a note and told me to go home, go to bed, and the next morning give it to Miss Ryan. Well, that's what I did. I took the note, I went on home, went to bed, got up the next morning, and I took it to Miss Ryan. Well, after Miss Ryan read the note, she called all of us house servants into the big parlor. She took down the Bible off the shelf. She opened it and she scratched out Clarina Cotton's name. And she said, "That daughter that I had is dead. And nobody is to call her name in this house, around this place anymore." Well, Grandmammy tried to talk to Miss Raya and tell her to forgive Miss Laughter, because evidently she had run away with that soldier. But Miss Raya didn't pay no attention to her. Okay, by this time, you see, her mammy had died, her husband, Master Ned, had died, Jerome had been sent off, he didn't come back no more. So then Miss Raya sent for her niece, Miss Betty, and her husband, Master John Davis, and they came to help her look after things. Well, about a year after they come, Miss Raya got sick. And all during this time, anytime a letter would come from Miss Laughter, it would be sent back and it wasn't opened. Well, Miss Davis wanted to send for Miss Raya after she got sick, but not Miss Raya, wanted to send for Miss Laughter after she became sick, but Miss Raya didn't want her to send for Miss Laughter. But after she became so very ill, Miss Davis sent for Miss Laughter anyway and kept her downstairs for a number of days for a while. Then when it became so evident that Mrs. Ryan might not be here much longer, then she let Miss Laughter go upstairs. And all of us house servants stood in the door, and we watched. And Miss Raya was in the bed, her eyes were closed, and when Miss Laughter went in, she knelt down by the Bible, by the bedside, and she said, "Mammy, Mammy," real soft like that. Miss Raya didn't open her eyes. She just turned her head to the wall, and then with tears rolling down the cheeks of Miss Laughter, she said, "Mammy, I'm sorry. I love you, Mammy." And Miss Ryan never said a word. She kept her back turned. The grandmammy went over, touched Miss Ryan on her head. She shook her hand off. And then after a while, Miss Ryan never opened her eyes, and she just went on home to glory. Well, Grandmama said it wasn't the war that caused all that trouble to Miss Ryan. It was the north wind that blew down the chimney that morning when she was born and scattered the ashes.
Thank you, Mrs. Spears, for giving me that information. She says she's 93 years old, but she doesn't remember. So just give her another eye. She did an excellent job. I wanted to.
He was actually part of the protest, but there's a reason why he's not raising his hand, and you'll find out this Kwanzaa. They all ran for us that day. They ran for the poor and the needy, for those eaten by sharks and lynched. Even for all blue collars they ran. Smith and Carlos raised black-clad fists. Norman, the white one, would have joined them, but they'd only brought 2 gloves. Thank you. I'm going to get out the way now. I'd like to bring Barbara Maestrel up to the stage, so everybody clap your hands together in anticipation. All the way to the stage. What are y'all doing? We need energy. We need energy. I'm not feeling it from y'all. Oh, yes, better. Keep going, keep going, keep going. If y'all keep it going all the way to the stage, I will do another poem after her. So keep it going to the stage. Yeah, so keep going, keep going, keep going.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is called Spirit and Soul. When spirits and souls unite, joy creates purpose in life. All things are possible with determination and faith. So brothers and sisters, make haste to unite, cooperate.
So many years, so much sorrow, now finding ourselves with bright, joyful tomorrows. Love those who are here, their love will last. Yet remember those we have loved in years past. Light candles, colored and bright. Green is a remembrance of land's lush good life. The color of beauty is black. Black is the night, a rich color of happy joy, reflection, all that is right. Red, the color of blood, the color of the struggle, times of no unity in nations or community. Freedom now burns bright, affirming the right to stand fast, stand ready, for now it is time we choose our own destiny.
Put your hands together for Barbara Maestrell.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, the 7 candles called the Mishima Saba. Those are the 7 candles. And each candle represents a day of Kwanzaa. Okay, the candle holder is called the Kanara. The straw mat is called the Mkeka. That is the foundation. That's where everything starts, from that straw mat. That's the Mkeka. And then when we look at the corn, Muhandi. This is the corn. And I'll tell you a little bit about the corn in a minute. And of course, this is the harvest. Kwanzaa means the first fruits of the harvest. Okay, so this represents the fruits that they were able to gather from a bountiful harvest, and they're giving thanks to it. Kwanzaa is a term for giving thanks to their Creator for being so good to them that year for a harvest. Also, we have, so I did the Mishma Saba, I did the Kanara, I did the Mazola, I did the corn. The corn represents the number of children in your household. So if you don't have any kids in your household, this is Muhandi. You have 1 ear of corn. But if you have more than 1 child, you will have more than 1 ear of corn. All right, remember, Kwanzaa has 7 principles called the Nguzu Saba, 7 principles. And then, of course, you have the Kanara right here, and the Mishma Saba are the 7 candles. So let's see what I missed. Oh, okay, okay. Here is the cup. This is the unity cup. This is the one that was used earlier, honoring our ancestors. They pour it to the 4 winds, and then they honor our ancestors, and the result is poured into, after the libation statement is read, then the water is poured into a plant. And you honor them to the 4 winds. Okay, that's Ki Kambe Cho Umoja. Ki Kambe Cho Umoja. Okay, so those are the principles. Let's see what else did I miss? Umoja, Mishma Saba, Kanara, Keka. Okay, that's the fruit. Okay, another part of Kwanzaa is what we call the Zawadi. Zawadi we give to kids, like if they promise, you say to them, okay, John, I want you to go to school, and I want you to behave, and I want you to get good grades. So once that year ends, the kid, you give your child a gift. The gift should usually be something handmade or something that's cultural for them. So these are gifts. These are Zawadi. These are the gifts. And the thing about it is, the kids are gone. They're gone. Many of them are gone. But the kids that are here today, when we do the lighting candle ceremony, they'll get their Zawadi then. Okay?
Sometimes down, calling for clarity home. But still my soul is heavily down, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Amen. This next one is called Mary Had a Baby. The manger, yes, my Lord, born in a manger, yes, yes, Lord. Other people keep coming, but the train done gone. What did she name him? Yes, Lord. What did she name him? Yes, my Lord. What did she name him? Yes, Lord. The people keep coming, but the train done gone. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, everyone, we've come to the end of another video. I do hope that you did enjoy. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned to my channel to see where I'll go next. Until next time, bye.
Manger, yes, my Lord. Born in a manger.